This upcoming 2025 season for LSU football is getting spicy. Blake, what do you mean? Well, you went out in the portal and you got a lot of people, so it makes it ultimately spicy, right? Meaning that things are getting spicy in the sense of that you have a head coach whose old team is playing in the national championship on Monday. He comes out today, which we're going to talk about this, and something that's drastically getting missed by most people, but we'll talk about it. He comes out today and says he wants Notre Dame to win. Why wouldn't he? I recruited a lot of these guys. I want them to win a national title. I don't know if deep down he really feels that, but Brian Kelly did come out today and said that he did. But things start now when you put that out there. Things are going to be very interesting when the 2025 season comes. Regardless of what you think or not, or regardless of what anybody really thinks a lot or not, Brian Kelly probably feeling a bit of heat maybe already. But I will tell you, you better start. I say you better start like that's a threat. I think the pressure is now mounting. So you've been here for 3 years. You haven't gotten over that hump. The pressure is starting to mount. Have they figured out what they need to do? We got a lot to talk about with football. Are they going to continue to go in the portal? Is a big question that we're going to answer again here tonight. Brian Kelly's statement. Oh, and I might go on a little bit of a rant. No. I'm not talking about the rant that I would normally go on, and I told you I'd break my one rule about the thing that got passed today that biological men can't play in women's sports. And as a father, well, I ultimately agree with that. Of a father of a young girl, I ultimately agree with that. But might have to go on a little Brian Kelly rant because I think some have forgotten. Now, we'll see. Boy, things start getting interesting. We'll do an LSU basketball pregame. And at the end, we'll do hashtag Ask Blake. Yes, the men's basketball team plays at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time against Arkansas. And what is an early season might need a must-win for Matt McMahon. Show of hands. Actually, show of thumbs. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you think that tonight might be a little bit of a must-win for Matt McMahon? You start off 0-4 in the league, Bubba. Things going to get interesting there as well. Things will certainly get interesting there as well. Carlton says that the intro looks snazzy. The intro's always been the same. Actually, we've never changed the song in 1,080 episodes. It has been the same. But yeah, David says, what was his comments? I missed it. We'll talk about it here tonight. Basically, that he wants him to win. I'm glad that Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame gave him the resources that we did not have. That is true. And Notre Dame and Brady Quinn came out and said it is true. That it took Brian Kelly to point all this out and say, you're not doing this. I can't win here if you're not going to do this. And then Notre Dame did it for Marcus Freeman. So we'll talk about that. Oh, I got a little rant I need to go on. Alexander says, I love BK's comments about Notre Dame, and I think we see a pissed off LSU team in 2025. I hope that we do, and I do think that there's an ability that we may. It just throwing this out there. Brian Kelly's got some things to live up to, right? Like, I mean, this isn't. I mean, for his own legacy, this ain't got shit to do with LSU at the current moment. None of this has to do anything with LSU at the current moment. Excuse me. What I'm talking about is his legacy. Year 3, Brian Kelly got to a national title. Year 3, Marcus Freeman got to a title. Let's see what happens on Monday. Now, I am going to pick Ohio State to win that football game. But there does come a form of factor that for his legacy, number one, I think Marcus cannot win it for his sake. And 2, we'll just talk about that and maybe what the 2025 season will look like. Is LSU going after another position in the portal? I think that they are in spring if certain people entered that portal that they may want to go after. I think there's still a couple of position groups that LSU's got to go after, safety included, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. And I might elaborate. A lot of people reacted to my thoughts on last night's show in reference to Donovan Green. Guys, that's going to happen. Brian Kelly, I don't see – I told you this. I just don't know if I see a world where Brian Kelly takes a step back and helping play calling duties. I don't think you can walk back having to do that. I really, really, really don't. I really, really, really don't. Dane Bergeron says, good evening, Blake. Good evening to you as well. Good, sir. Go hard or go home on YouTube says, it's crazy that it takes Notre Dame to make it to the title game for BK to wake his arse up. In fairness to BK, they were already doing this stuff in the portal before Notre Dame got to the national title game, right? Like, I mean, they raised money, gave $1 million of his own dollars. Like, they were doing this beforehand. I do agree. We're literally leading that out with this out of the break. But the pressure's on. Now it builds. And the pressure's on from LSU fans, too. Hayes Barber says, think LSU is active in the spring portal. Boy, y'all are asking the great and honest questions here tonight. Harrison says, are we making a push for the Penn State safety? I haven't seen the Penn State safety in our portal. Maybe I'm wrong. The only one that I want is Wheatley. I don't think that happens. But if Wheatley went in the portal, which I highly doubt that he does, I think that he's $1 million safety. I would pay that kid $1 million to come here. He's the best. He would probably be the best defender on your team, if I'm being honest. So there are a couple of if there are a couple, did Wheatley hit the portal? Because if he did, then I'm going after him. But I'm pretty sure the receivers were hitting the portal. I didn't hear anything about safeties or see anything, and I could be easily wrong. Warren says on YouTube, good evening, Blake. Clermont, Florida, the 504 watching from Slidell in the 985. Good to have the Dell, the dirty Dell up in here. Good to have you in here. Where is everybody listening to from tonight? I haven't been doing it. I've been doing it during the break. We hadn't been talking about it, but you know I love my people in the 504, and we're still praying for all of our people at the 504. You know, I was driving today, and flags still flying at half-mast after the terrorist attack in New Orleans. I got to be real with you, man. I've stayed on top of that. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. Like when I get out of shows and I'm like on my laptop at night, I'm sitting there watching it. I'm legitimately sitting there finding out new details. Fascinating, man. We're thinking of our people in 504, 225-985, 337, and 318-31 great. You know we got to get you to check in here, right? We got to get you to check in. Brandon is in the 205 Tuscaloosa. What's that girl's name? Sydney? The one that Nick Saban with the big hawkers that Saban's having pictures with. Miss Terry better watch out now. She better watch out. Jeremy says, no, a safety from another school committed to Penn State. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Bart Smokey, our good friend. Bart, great show, by the way, that Bart does. He says the 318-31 great. Good to have Bart in here. Rob Boudreaux says Sidney Thomas. That's it. That's it. You're damn right. All right, let's get rolling here. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Quick note, you have made this show from an audio podcast platform, we got told today, the highest audio LSU platform. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. All the great people in the 318 listening to the podcast. Do us a favor if you haven't done so already. Go over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating if you don't mind. I hope that our show is a 5-star, but I hope that you do give it that. But you've made us that. We'll continue. Chartable, shout out. By the way, from an audio podcast side of things, creeping up past the 200. Your boy being at 199. So you better watch out. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. I know Santa Claus just came. But I greatly, greatly appreciate all of y'all doing that. Bart Smokey says new assistant coach. We'll talk about that a little bit. I've heard some rumors. I haven't heard anything definitive, Bart, but we'll talk about it. That's for sure. Let me get to this break. We'll come right back. Talk some LSU football next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. All right. Uh-oh. Guys, intern. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. We got a lot that we got to get in here to tonight because Brian Kelly met with a national media source in Brandon Marcello. We're going to talk about that. But I also want to talk about here in just a moment is LSU done in the portal. I'm going to start off with this rant because, I have pushed this off for a little bit here. And I just want to make it very well known since it's out there in the national media and landscape and everybody talking about it today. I've even had this debate a little bit, somewhat, not massive, with my co-host Joe, but not in this kind of detail. Here is the truth for Brian Kelly going into the 2025 season. Now, we at the current moment don't know the status of the national championship game between Ohio State and Notre Dame. But what we do know is simple. What we do know is regardless of if Notre Dame wins or not, there is going to be pressure on BK from a national perspective, from a local perspective, and from the fan perspective of, you better go and win. At least get to the playoff at LSU. Is it a fair comparison? Is it a fair, realistic thing to believe? Now, it is of my humble opinion, and a guy in himself and Brian Kelly who said it himself at a podium that is the standard. It should be the standard to get there. 1 in 4 years, at minimum, should be the standard of what you're doing here and what you can do here. Now, you fired Les for not being able to stay in the top 12. You fired Ed for an outright collapse. Well, Saban. And we know how that turned out. Can Brian Kelly get over that 1-2 game hump that he does need to get to be able to get to a playoff is the real question here. But I want to start off with this. Brian Kelly did talk to Brandon Marcello, I believe. Forgive me if I'm misquoting this or misspeaking with this. of 247 Sports. And basically, Brian Kelly came out today. He was asked about the national championship between Notre Dame and Ohio State. And he says, yeah, I hope they win. And in his own way said, me leaving prompted Notre Dame to move in a different direction from an administrative point on what they needed to do. Brady Quinn today, I found out, not only backed BK, a Notre Dame guy, a Notre Dame quarterback, even went out and said himself he's 1,000% right when he left and Marcus Freeman took over from a collective standpoint, from an NIL standpoint, from a academics restriction standpoint to their standard. It has given Notre Dame more of an edge to get better athletes in here. That is from the Notre Dame side, at least from Brady Quinn, which it's actually the reality of the truth of what's happening at Notre Dame. The thing for BK, though, is, listen, let's forget about the national media. Let's forget about Notre Dame and their fans for one moment. The standard at the local place is all that matters to me of what happens to LSU. From a national level, none of that shit really matters. Now, you can go out there and brag about it like you did 5 years ago when Joe Burrow, who put on a BDJ hat after beating Clemson's outright behind all up and down the field, 450-plus yards, 6 total touchdowns, and outright ass whipping. The reality is that my expectation for this place is playoff. First 3 years, I've pretty much been lenient on the fact of, hey, man, there's new age, new era, NIL, portal. I don't know if the 3-year comp is what we can use. Not in reference to a place that had to be rebuilt, right? Now, you probably should have gotten there in 23. I think we all believe, and feel that Brian Kelly probably offensively was ready to do that in 23. Defense aside, you hit on one side of the football, the other one you massively missed. And I think from a local level, I don't think that you can – it's playoffs or bust. Based off of what you did in the portal, based what you've done in high school recruiting, you need to be a top 12 team. You have told me, and you've bragged in some circles, that you brought in the number 1 portal class. Got to go and show it. The Ole Miss factor of what they did in the portal and them not getting there, that ain't us. That's never should be us or our standard. They do not recruit at a high level through high school recruiting they never really have outside of Hugh Freeze. The expectation for me at this place in a year 4 for a head coach is not really a national title run. Because I do believe that our standards have to change a little bit because of everything that has transpired in the portal and NIL era. I also believe that you're at a top 12 place, you better be consistently every other year getting into the top 12. That is my only expectation. I don't feel as if that's a massive expectation. And in those times, yeah, you got to win an Natty here. That's just the bottom line. Everybody has come here and smacked that ass at least once to everybody that's been here. Smacking that ass, smacking that ass. And quite frankly, we talk about Les Miles in a different light because of what he did at the end, why he got fired at Kansas, and basically how he ran an offense. Les won one and got to another one. Won one and got to another one. That is what you can be if you sustain and do the right things and recruit. National media aside, they like taking shots at BK. He's one of the guys, I will tell you this, not only doing it from an LSU perspective, but even from a national perspective. Anytime that I clip a video, we put it on here, we put it on Rufino and Joe show, and Brian Kelly's face is on it, shit's going to hit. I don't care what anybody says from a click standpoint. That's why he's polarizing. He gets numbers. There's a reason national media guys and conference guys like Paul Feinbaum want to have him. They're not going to talk to Rudy Poo coach. Now, they may talk to the coach at LSU because of winning and whatever, but you get my drift here. He's polarizing. It's time to start being polarizing here. That is, number one, what your expectation should be. It's what Brian Kelly's expectation is for himself. There's another angle to this, and another angle that I don't think that me, you, anybody should have other than it being from us. We have our expectations of what we feel that should be met. You have a different expectation, some of you, than what I may have. And that's completely okay. But the reality of it is Notre Dame plays in a national championship game on Monday. And if Brian Kelly does not make it to a playoff, and God forbid he lose, well, then the narrative continues to be the same for him. And you're going to hear it. You're 100% going to hear it. And I tell you this all the time, whether I say it now or whether I say it later, and I say it in every offseason. Want to see how a team reacts to a head coach, what they think about him, the work that they do in the offseason, and them knowing that the pressure is mounting. Because, guys, it's mounting. That is why I believe, and I have said at a wholehearted level, I have no sourcing on this whatsoever. This is strictly opinion. I don't know if Brian Kelly can walk back from play calling duties and not necessarily calling the plays, but being heavily involved. You can't. You brought the same OC back that you got involved with. Now, it's a lot like if you remember in the early days of Tommy Rees, Brian Kelly did a lot of the same things. And he kept Tommy Rees around, who, by the way, Tommy Rees, we'll talk about tight ends coach in a minute. But talking about Tommy Rees, he got the OC job at Cleveland today, who's probably searching for a quarterback in the draft if I think, like, I just expect him to do that. Is Joe Sloan going to be his Tommy Rees? I don't know. I do not know. What I do know is that legacy from a national media perspective-wise is starting to come to a head. And BK ain't getting younger. He's not getting younger. So there comes a part, there comes a time, there comes a place where you don't get there, then you're going to really hear it. And that is a fact. You can spin it all you want to. You can talk about from a national perspective, BK's got to get there. It also accelerates the fact that Notre Dame, as I mentioned, plays on Monday. They think that they're better off without him. Now, if they win on Monday, they're going to be very obnoxious. But they feel like that they're better off now. They're better off now. And here was the rant that I wanted to get into. You see him on social media. You see how they talk shit about him all the time. And I'm not the man's defender. They're different, not because just of Marcus Freeman. Notre Dame, truthfully, is different because of what they did from an administrative side without BK. Now, you can like him, you can love him, you can hate him. I don't really care of your opinion of him. It doesn't matter to me what your opinion is of the head coach. It really doesn't affect me whatsoever. But what it does do is, even though they did things administratively to be better, it's what has propelled them to be better. Now, I don't think they're winning on Monday. Personally, I don't. But you understand the rivalry. You understand the rivalry that's been going on, what now will be going on for 4 years now. You understand the rivalry of what's going on with LSU and Notre Dame fans. Guys, in November of 2021, that is when Brian Kelly got hired. I think it was on December the 2nd that Brian Kelly was formally announced at LSU. And guys, you're going on year 4 here. They have been to a natty and you haven't. So I don't think that BK, for what it's worth, didn't even come close to having what he had built when he got to LSU, what he had built at Notre Dame. And it is a very interesting test piece in reference to what does it look like when you have to rebuild from 39 scholarship players to be where you're at right now. It's a big question. We can't ignore it. It's national media news. It's circulating. Leads me to 2025. I feel confident he can get there. I feel confident that you can get there. There are a couple of key factors that we've talked about that I'm not going to continue to bore you on. But you have a high ceiling. Per talent alone, you have a high ceiling. Do you have some holes and some weaknesses? Yes, you do. Are they glaring? Yes, they are. Are there things that massively have to change? Yep. Especially defending the run and running the football. Things have to massively change. And I hope that they can. But this entire team, from a player perspective, has got to put in the work. They're going to have to put in the work. I don't know at this exact moment if you the mentality that LSU had for all of those decades, right? Or I say all of those decades, for the 2 decades, from 2000 to 2020, from when Joe Burrow took a knee and beat Clemson, LSU always had an attitude to himself, right? Like this football team always had an attitude. You may mess up. You may lose games. You were different. You know it, and I know it. And then COVID happened. And then the portal happened. And then NIL happened. What I am saying to you from a holistic standpoint is this. I think that LSU and Brian Kelly have done some great things and some bad things. I don't think that they've had the personnel in here to win and go where he wants to go. I think in 2022, they hit on damn near so many things that got him to the SEC championship game. And quite frankly, I think BK and Mike Denbrock outcoached things. And the best thing that you did in 2022, which I'm going to be real with you, as a team, you might have been overall better. But I look at that team and say that you ran the football very well and you stopped the run very well. In most situations. Not against A&M, you didn't. But in most situations, you stopped the run very well. It's an interesting test case. But you've asked me, tons of you have asked me, because of all of this going on, what my thoughts are. Those are my thoughts. Those are my concerns. Those are what I believe and what I perceive to be what will play out in reality. But man, I'm telling you, you tell me in the chat right now what you believe, if what will happen here, your expectation and national expectation, if LSU football misses the playoff in the 2025 season. What will it be? I know what it's going to be. You know what it's going to be. Playoff or bust, man. We'll see if it happens. One other thing before we transition out of here, I see some super chats in here we're going to get to in just a second. Is LSU done in the transfer portal? Interesting. I do not believe that LSU is done in the transfer portal yet. Now, they got a safety in Tamarcus Coley. They got the tight end in Donovan Green that we talked about yesterday. What I think about LSU is this. Right now, per 247, you have the number 1 overall class in the transfer portal. I do think that LSU's brought in a lot of really good players with a lot of hella upside. What I do think is that this team still has some holes in it. Holes that I'm not confident in. I don't know how TaMarcus Cooley plays. I think that he's still a slot. I think he could play safety maybe. But, you brought in a star, and hopefully he can move to free and play man. But you are definitely bringing in a safety, and I still feel like you need others unless a lot of development starts happening in the offseason with guys like Deshaun Spears. But safety is my biggest concern. There is a position group that I do think that LSU will and can go after in the spring. Guys, I wouldn't mind you looking at both lines of scrimmage if it warrants it. I think that you can look in the interior of your defensive line. I think that you can look in your interior of your offensive line, and if something mounts and you can take somebody, take them. I do think that the defensive tackle is very interesting here because I think when I look at DT, I have a lot of confidence and a lot of faith in Bo Davis to develop. I feel like that even though there were times because depth was an issue, that LSU at the end of the season kind of underperformed in the interior. But I saw a lot of fight, and I saw a position group that had fought more at any point in time than I saw guys from last season. There was more intensity and more grit and more determination. I have confidence that Bo Davis can really develop a room. You bring in Sadir Mitchell, which is very interesting, and I hope the young man gets to work and that he can play. He's a big body dude. A guy that can come in and take on double teams. It's interesting to see what Blake Baker and Bo Davis can do with it. But, man, you got a lot of depth now. Now you got a lot of depth. And you went out and got two what you feel to be bona fide edge guys. And Patrick Payton and Jack Pyburn along with Jamari Butler. Guys, that room has got to hit as a whole. I think that Patrick Payton and Jack Pyburn are arguably, as a duo, one of the better portal pickups that I've seen a team do, if I'm being frank with you. From a talent perspective, I think Jack Pyburn, who's played ultimately physical in the running game, brings an intensity that you have not had along your defensive line since B.J. Ojulari has been here. And I think even Braden Swinson now we can throw in that category. But you have not had a big physicality factor. I think Pyburn brings that intensity. I do think that Patrick Payton brings the athleticism and a guy that you just say, go get the quarterback. Go get him. When the quarterback starts running, be the athletic freak that you are. I went and watched Patrick Payton's highlights today. I specifically wanted to see him against Haynes King and Georgia Tech. Now, if some of you don't remember, Georgia Tech had a pretty solid squad this year. They were tough. They led the entire season off by knocking off Florida State, who was a bad football team. But at the end of the season, Georgia Tech was trading punches with Georgia with a healthy Carson Beck. I thought Patrick Payton played phenomenally in the run game. You know what he was exceptionally well at? Stopping a quarterback from running the football. Wasn't on him. Beats me to see what where was the lack of effort in that one that y'all were talking about? Because I didn't really see it. Can you get the best out of him? That duo I feel confident in. Really, I do. I think Patrick Payton, if put in the right situation, can be an all-star. Guys, athletically, he can be a top 10 pick. And you know how restrictive I am on saying stuff like that. I am very restrictive. I like to be more conservative on my overall thoughts. If he hits every pedestal that people think of him, he can get there. He 100% can get there. Does he want to put in the work? Does he want to legitimately be that person? That's on him. Ain't no coaching staff. That's on him. Maturity has got to hit you. If a right DT goes into the portal, I think you take him. If the number's not astronomically high. I got to say the same about running back. You just can't have enough. I don't know why you didn't get a running back in the spring portal window. I really don't. But DeMarcus Cooley's brother, it was a running back. You know, I saw some Georgia Tech stuff tonight, or not tonight, yesterday, when DeMarcus Cooley entered the portal, and I didn't know that was his brother. If he is, I mean, brothers like to play with one another. Who knows? What I do know is this. Him, her, well, I shouldn't say her. This dude, that dude, it doesn't matter. I think you got to take one. I preferably would go for a back that you know that physically likes to run in between the tackles. It is amazing to me that we think that we're ready to do that. You're not ready to do that. I'm telling you, you're not ready. Can Caleb Jackson get ready? Does he hit the portal? I mean, we did not see him in the bowl game to save our life. We didn't. I think vision's got to get better. I think a lot of things have got to get better. Do you go full attack in the air mode? Do you want to be a little bit like Texas and Sark? Can you throw the ball out of the backfield to your running backs? Can you? But freshman at running back is a position where guys can come and plug and play. I mean, Ty Davis-Price 5 years ago, and even sometimes John Emery, who wasn't ready, but they would spell collide. You can do it if you need to. But I think you need another one. So my overall thought process is I think you need another safety. I think you could look at a DT or an offensive guard or right tackle, whatever floats your boat, and a running back. I think DT and safety are more prevalent right now than anything. It will be interesting. Final thought here before we move on and get to some super chats, and then we'll start wrapping the show up with some other stuff. Another interesting thing to me is defensive tackle. If you were to bring one in, that means that you would have brought in 5 defensive linemen. Go by their actions, not by their words. The actions of LSU football right now is, hey, guys, listen, everybody that was behind all the guys that are leaving on the D-line, we're gonna try to replace you some. Or we're going to bring guys in that can push you, and you're going to have to beat them out to do it. There's no other way that you can look at that. No other way. You bring in 5, that's a lot. It means that you had no faith. I mean, you moved on from JVR Suggs, basically. And I don't know, you got to feel really good, or you need to look at where you're at. Interior defensive tackle, and I think Bo Davis will get you here. The interior of your defensive line has got to be better. It just has to. It is, of my humble opinion, even with Wingo, who I do think Mekhi Wingo wasn't that bad, with Mason Smith, with Jaquelin Roy. I know that you've had guys drafted. They have not played good enough. I think that Jaquelin Roy played better with Mekhi Wingo than what you had in 23. And then this year, let's call it what it is, man. You got your ass whooped. I got to give one credit to one guy, though. Ahmad Bro didn't make many plays. But what he did do is he held his own. He held his own. And in no way should you be at a program like LSU and then you got to put on that much weight for a depth piece, and then that, guys, Ahmad Bro started games. at defensive tackle. Started him. You moved a defensive end into the interior of your defensive line and did not play those other guys and put on 45 pounds on an edge rusher and hope that he could play DT. So I do not want to hear that if another special human being goes in the portal, that you won't go get him. And maybe Bo might not want to. Maybe it would need some convincing, but that your administration would. You got holes, man. You got weaknesses. At this point, I think that, and we've talked so much about the positives, and I probably should do this here before I get cursed out. I still think that this team could get there. They have the talent. I have no idea if they can put it all together. All right. Let's get to a couple of these super chats here. And Bart said new assistant head coach. I've heard rumors. I haven't heard much. Nothing solidified yet. I do think that Donovan Green was told who they were going after and what they were going to utilize him for. It wasn't just an NIL thing. But yeah, I fully believe that he has an idea. I know where I would go. We've named a couple. We've talked about Tommy Rees a lot, but I pretty much try to push that off as much as I could, even though I wouldn't have mind Tommy Rees. It's going to be interesting. Potentially a former coordinator, if you so go that route. So, yeah. Penn Jones says flags at half-mast to President Carter's death and stay that way for 30 days. See, I didn't know that about the president. It makes sense. I thought it was, and thank you, Penn, for clarifying. I thought that was for people here, the Louisiana people, because of the terrorist attack. But I didn't even put two and two together. You're right about President Carter passing away. Probably should have known that, but I didn't. Thank you, Penn. Mark Smith with a $10 super chat says, how much have small diners contributed to the donors, I think, contributed to the collective? How much of BK's $1 million match has been claimed? Mark, thank you for the super chat. I do not know. I do not know. I hope all of it. But they need to make that announcement because I'm not internally in that building. I have no clue. Look, I'm just going to tell you personally, I'm going to do it. I'm going to continue to do it. And we should probably talk more about about Bayou Traditions more. Guys, we're on board here. I am past on board. I still think that there's other things that could be going on with Bayou Traditions. Like massive amounts of more things can be happening. It's a fantastic start. Guys, this is the way of the world. It's the way of the world. And you hope it's not the way of the world from an entire or every year thing. If you're having to do this every year, then you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You can't do this every year. If you want to be a constant contender, you can't do this. You have to recruit from the high school ranks, and you have to dominate there too. And let's call it what it is, man. You've missed on those evaluations. The whole 23 class is obliterated. Those guys aren't even here. And that's why you're now having to supplement. Have you supplemented well enough? That's the ultimate question. All right. Let's do this. We'll come back, take some of your thoughts, questions, concerns. Do it. Got thoughts, got questions, got concerns. Bring them into the show. We'll end it that way. Let me get to a break. When we come right back, we'll take your thoughts, questions, and concerns, talk a little bit of pregame about basketball, then roll out to that. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirement.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. Baiso says, that's really loud. I won't have any season predictions, but I know we better not miss the playoffs. BR will burn. You're right. BR will burn. BR will burn. Alexander says, let Jason Taylor as tight ends coach, LOL, steal him from Miami. That would be funny. I mean, he produced one of the greatest tight end, or the greatest tight end that you've ever had. Greg says, love the show, Blake. Greg, good to have you in here, buddy. Jeremy says, he country strong. Yeah, man, you got to be country strong. I mean, listen, I know what Jeremy's trying to get at here. At least I think I know what he's trying to get at here. I just don't think that you have played to the intensity level that you formerly once played at. I don't know if that's a Jake Flint thing. I don't know if that's a player NIL thing. I don't know. I just think that to get where you are, you have to be a little bit better than what you were. I don't think that to get to a playoff, have to make massive leaps and bounds. But how have you replaced that? I mean, guys, quite frankly, I can bring it up all the live long day. I say it one time. I feel like I've said it a billion times. I feel like it goes in one ear and goes out the other of people that listen to the show. Guys, if you cannot stop the running game, you're going to get your ass whooped. That is the bottom line. If teams are lining up, no matter if it's quarterback run from a running back, it does not matter. When they're able to line up, and especially run the ball with the quarterback is the biggest thing, but line up and run the ball down your throat, you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. It is simple as that. Guys, if you cleaned up just not allowing teams to like bust these long ass runs on you. And then you physically, guys, you gave up 311 yards to Alabama. Michigan turns around in the bowl game with the same exact offensive line without the best interior defensive tackle in there and whipped their ass. Whipped their ass. Another thing you need. Another thing that we've seen teams do. Develop from within. Recruit at a high level. And that doesn't mean stars. Star level doesn't mean shit. I mean, it does and it doesn't. Colin Simmons was a 5-star for a reason and you missed on him. That kid right now is worth every penny of the, let's say hypothetically, that kid asking $1 million, it was worth every penny. Every single penny. I don't want to hear it anymore. It's worth every penny. You haven't done that. You haven't had a guy like that. Now, I don't think that Braden Swinson ultimately is better than Colin Simmons in a 3-year window. I don't. I do not. That's where the game starts getting changed. And Bo Davis has done a fantastic job at developing interior defensive linemen. He has. He took 2 3-stars from Texas and made them household names. So I don't want to say the word that I'm thinking, but it starts with an S and ends with an oft. You got to stop being soft. That's how I see it. All right. LSU men's basketball plays tonight. Anybody going to the game? I think this is a must-win for Matt McMahon. Or things are really going to be bad. I hate it. They need a win tonight. They got to win tonight. That's all I'm saying. Bayou Soul says, yeah, we made Jalen Milroe look like Barry Sanders. We did. Carvis Dirt says Colin Simmons wasn't coming here, though. I get that. I understand why I understand what you're trying to say. You weren't prepared to get Colin Simmons. That's what I'll say. You weren't prepared to. You weren't remotely close to being prepared. They were, you weren't. It's the truth. You were not prepared. I think you're a little bit more prepared now. You ain't all the way there, but you're more prepared now. You can't miss on those fights majority of the time, man. It's just the truth. You can't. Bad shit will happen. Bo Davis says, David Woodard says, Bo Davis is getting started. It takes him time to get them dogs in here. I'm with you. I agree. Brandon Reese says, some of our fans just complain about anything, even when we get good players. This is true. I think that there are 3 big complaints that I have right now that's happened the entire time under Brian Kelly. Number 1, I do think that you were prepared in big games. I don't believe I've never walked out of a Brian Kelly game and said, okay, I see the strategy you went with. It just didn't work. I've never really done that. There have been some play calling issues, especially from Matt House, but nothing that I didn't understand that what you were trying to do. Just the game plan sucked. And some of the time you didn't have the athletes. I mean, guys, quite frankly, look at what they did in the portal defensively. They went and got every position besides linebacker. Every position. I'd take a portal linebacker. Shit, I might take two of them. Talk about a position that didn't have a good year. Blake, where do you find that cup? This one? My wife got it at Sam's or Costco. Interesting, Wallace. We do like this game where like a guy game, pause, for Christmas, where all the guys get around and you exchange like a gift that was for like $25. And mine was Megan got me these again. Like Megan bought this for me and then we gave it as a gift. So you kind of like play White Christmas or White Santa, whatever that game's called. Or not White Santa. White, I don't even know what it's called. But I think guys, you know what I'm trying to talk about. What was I going to say? I don't even remember. Oh, in the attempt to lose some LBs, guys, all I drink is water right now. I swear to you. Unless me and my wife go out socially and I have a drink or two, I'm drinking water. Nothing else. Pure water. That's it. And to be real with you, I haven't craved like a soft drink. There are a lot of things that I've craved in this weight loss diet, though. A lot of shit that I wish I could have had. Bayou Soul with a $5 super chat. Last thing before we get out of here. Says, do you think a big part defensive lapses this year were due to the players not being recruited by the current defensive staff? I do. I 100% believe that that's a problem. Yes, I do. And I certainly feel that they think that they did not have the talent remotely close to be ready to what fits them. That's why you went and got 4 defensive linemen. It's why you got 3 DBs. And you want all of them to contribute. That's the crazy thing. All right. We'll see y'all soon. Let's go watch this basketball game. Peace, man.